Hi guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 21, the IC or IC ending. Please take a second to gather your materials. You will need your purple book open to page 131. You will also need some colorful pens, markers, or crayons. Remember, whatever I mark on my board, you should be marking on your paper. Please save room for a key as well. You'll notice that I already went ahead and used blue vertical lines to break each word into syllables. I also used orange check marks to mark off the stressed syllable. Remember, that's the part of the word that we say a little bit louder, a little bit stronger. It is also usually the easiest part of the word to spell. The unstressed syllables have a lot of those ambiguous vowels, the schwa sound. So that's where you're really going to want to focus your energy. Okay, so you will notice that all of our words this week end with ick. Whenever a word ends with IC, it can be used as an adjective. You will notice that a few of our words like cosmetics and Olympics and italics end with an S. That signifies that they are nouns, okay? All right, let's start by reading our list. Here we go. Allergic, aquatic, artistic, athletic, Atlantic, cosmetics, elastic, electric, genetic, gigantic, heroic, historic, italics, Olympics, organic, Pacific, romantic, sarcastic, specific, symbolic. Okay, so for several weeks now, we have been talking about derivational suffixes. We know that those are combinations of letters that we add to the end of a word to change its part of speech. So last week, we worked with the suffix al. We learned that we could take a noun like nature and change it to an adjective, natural, by adding that al suffix. Notice not only does the spelling change, but the pronunciation as well. We can take a word like person and change it to personal. So we're taking a noun and we're changing it to an adjective. This week we're doing the same exact thing. We're taking a noun and we're changing it to an adjective. But this time, instead of adding al, we're adding ic. So let's look at some examples. Let's choose a color. And let's start with allergic. If you are allergic to something, that means you have an allergy. Notice I drop the Y and add IC to change allergy to allergic. If you are an artist, you're really good at drawing or painting or creating stuff, you are artistic. We've changed the noun artist to the adjective artistic. If you are a really good athlete, people will say you're athletic. Notice I'm dropping my E. Here I dropped my Y. Here I'm dropping my E and adding my IC suffix. Okay. If something has to do with your genes, it's something you were born with because of the genes that were passed down from your parents, it is genetic. Notice this time I am adding a T there, genetic, okay? If you are a hero or you act like a hero, then you do heroic deeds. If something goes down in history, it's so important, it's part of history, it is a historic moment. Just like here where I dropped the Y, now I drop the Y in history to change history to historic. Romantic. Do you see a noun in there? Yeah, a person who appreciates romance might come up with some romantic gestures, a candlelight dinner, a walk in the park. Those are all romantic things that people who enjoy romance like to do. Now notice here we did a couple things. We dropped the C and the E and added a TIC ending, kind of like what we did here, right? Most of the time we're just adding ick. Here we added tick, and here we added tick. Okay, if a person uses sarcasm, they are a sarcastic person. Look what I did here. I got rid of my M and added tick. And then my last example, if something is a symbol, so it's supposed to represent something else, like let's say the American flag or a wedding ring, right? Those are symbols of patriotism to our country or symbols of fidelity and love, right? Those things, the flag, the ring, those are symbolic. Okay, so let's go to our key. Anything here that had a purple box around it started out as a noun and got changed to an adjective. Okay? All right. However, there are some other adjectives on here that don't have an easy to identify noun form. And that's because they come from a Latin root. So instead of having a standalone base like athlete or artist, they come from a root. So for instance, aqua, anytime you see words that have aqua in them, they have something to do with water. So aquatic sports are of the water. Aquatic animals are animals that live in the water. Okay? If something is electric, now I know you see that and you think, oh, well, electricity. Well, the word electric has been around a lot longer than the word electricity, right? They both come from a Latin root. Okay? So if something is electric, though, there are sparks flying, there's energy passing through wires. That would be electric. If something is gigantic, it's really big, right? It's huge. That comes from a root as well. And then if something's organic, now don't get tricked here because you see the word organ, right? And you think, well, like an organ is kind of like a piano that they play in churches. Doesn't fit here. Or an organ is an important body part like a heart or a brain or a liver, a kidney. Those are organs. That has nothing to do with this either, okay? So if something's organic, it's natural, which means there's no preservatives, pesticides, chemicals in it, right? So when you go to the produce section at the grocery store and you're picking out your vegetables, you can buy the regular tomatoes or you can pay a little bit more to buy the organic tomatoes. Those farmers who grew those tomatoes are going to charge a little more, but they're guaranteeing that there were no harmful pesticides or sprays or chemicals used on them. So if something's organic, it's totally natural. If something is specific, again, we have a root here. But if you have a specific thing you want, it's the opposite of general, right? When you're being specific, you're narrowing down what you want. So specific, I'm just going to write narrowed down because I can't really think of a good synonym for specific. Okay, but anyway, all of these words are adjectives. They're all describing words. Okay, and they don't have a noun form because they are derived from a root. Now, we do have some other words on our list, that can be used as a noun or an adjective. So look at the word Atlantic, which, by the way, it's a proper noun. See how it has an uppercase A? So we can talk about the Atlantic Ocean or the Atlantic coast. We're using that to describe which coast, which ocean. But we can also just call it the Atlantic. I sailed a boat on the Atlantic. Now I'm using it as a noun. Okay, so this word can be used as a noun and an adjective. The word elastic. I'm going to underline this. The word elastic, the stretchy stuff, like your waistband, right? Sometimes your underwear or your athletic shorts or your sweatpants, they have an elastic, stretchy waistband, and that keeps them from falling off, right? You don't need a belt, you don't need a tie. So you can have an elastic band, that's a describing word, or you can have a piece of elastic. That would be the noun form. Pacific, just like Atlantic. So Atlantic describes the ocean that is east of North America, and Pacific describes the ocean that is west of North America, right? So we can talk about the Pacific. He sailed across the Pacific, that's a noun. Or we drove up the Pacific coast. That would be an adjective. So anything I underlined in pink can be used as a noun and an adjective. Okay? But then last thing I want to talk about are some of these words that can only be used as a noun. So if you look at cosmetics, that is only a noun, right? If I take the S off it, it's an adjective. But with an S, it is only a noun. Blush, eyeliner, eyeshadow, lipstick, those are cosmetics. It's another word for makeup. Italics, we only use that as a noun. That's the squiggly slanted print we use in our writing sometimes to show what a character's thinking, or maybe we use italics to tell our reader to say a word a little bit louder. So that's a, I'm going to call it a slanted font. Notice it ends with S. Olympics is also a noun, right? The Olympics, by the way, it's a proper noun. Olympics, proper noun. Atlantic, proper noun. Pacific, proper noun. They all name a specific place, or in this case, Olympics names a specific sporting event. Okay, now if we take the S off of it, we can turn it into an adjective, right? We can talk about an Olympic-sized pool or an Olympic sport or an Olympic athlete. We can use it as an adjective if we take the S off. But the way it's written now, it is a noun only. Okay? Now, when you get to page 134, you're going to have practice changing a bunch of nouns to adjectives. Allergy becomes allergic, artist becomes artistic, scene becomes scenic, poet becomes poetic, etc. Just remember, if your word, your base word, ends with a Y or an E, you're going to have to cross those out before you add your ick ending, okay? One more thing I want to talk about, real quick blast from the past. Do you remember several weeks ago we talked about Y, and we said that Y in the middle of an unstressed syllable can take on an I sound? So we see that here in symbolic, and we see it here in Olympics, although in the case of Olympics, it's in the middle of a stressed syllable, right? Symbolic, Olympics. So just keep that in mind. We know that sometimes Y, when it's tucked into the middle of a syllable, is going to make that short I sound. All right, that's all I have for you today. Good luck, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.